The question is the Bible a knockoff or copycat of older religious texts? It's a valid question. And I want to give my 2 cents on it because it's driving me absolutely crazy to see the narrative that is out there and how many people are falling into this trap. So many people believe that the Bible is simply a copycat of other texts that date back further, such as the Sumerian tablets and other religious texts that date back further. And because many of the world religions have similar stories, such as a flood over the earth, a virgin birth, a death and resurrection, 12 disciples. So you can see also an Egyptian text and hieroglyphs, some of these same kind of concepts. So they say that the biblical text is simply a knockoff, right? And it's not true, and just something that Rome used to try to take power over the people. And all these points seem very logical, and I can understand why people would believe this, because this idea does seem to make logical sense on the surface. But of course, we have to dig deep and look. We have to really dig for the truth. And we find that the truth, there has been great measures and lengths taken to bury the truth. And so if we read the Book of Jasher, we're actually given the answer on why so many of the world's religions have these common themes within them. And it is because man began with Adam, and from there, man continued to draw away from God, become rebellious toward the Creator, and create their own gods. And so if we look in the Book of Jasher, I want to bring some texts to light for you that you may not have heard of, and that will give us understanding on why the world's religions all seem so similar, and why the Holy Scriptures, the biblical texts, are the true Word of God, and why all these other world religions really are a knockoff of the biblical text. So, in order for you to understand this, we will have to look in the Book of Jasher, which is one of my favorite extra biblical books. And I'm going to read a portion here of chapter 2. And it says, I'm starting at chapter 2, verse 2 in the Book of Jasher. It says, and Seth lived 105 years, and he begot a son, and Seth called the name of his son Enosh, saying, because in that time the sons of men began to multiply and to afflict their souls and hearts by transgressing and rebelling against God. And it was in the days of Enosh that the sons of men continued to rebel and transgress against God, to increase the anger of the Lord against the sons of men. Okay, so it was by the time that Enosh came about. Enosh is the grandson of Adam. So we're talking about 2 generations down from Adam, from the start of mankind, when man began to rebel and transgress against God. And it goes on to say, and the sons of men went and they served other gods, and they forgot the Lord who had created them in the earth. And in those days, the sons of men made images of brass and iron, wood and stone, and they bowed down and served them. And every man made his god, and they bowed down to them. And the sons of men forsook the Lord all the days of Enosh and his children. And the anger of the Lord was kindled on account of their works and abominations, which they did in the earth. So we see at the time of Enosh, 2 generations from Adam, that the sons of men began to create other gods and religions. Okay, so in the beginning, when Adam was created, they all were aware. Adam was aware, and the offspring of Adam was aware of God, of the one who created man. But at the time of Enosh, 2 generations later, they would begin to rebel from the one true living God who created us, heaven and earth and all that is. And they began to make their own gods and their own beliefs and ways of worshiping these false gods. Okay. So verse 6 goes on to say, and the Lord caused the waters of the river Gihon to overwhelm them, and he destroyed and consumed them, and he destroyed the third part of the earth. And notwithstanding this, the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were yet extended to do evil in the sight of the Lord. And in those days there was neither sowing nor reaping in the earth, and there was no food for the sons of men, and the famine was very great in those days. And the seed which they sowed in those days in the ground became thorns, thistles, and briars. For from the days of Adam was this declaration concerning the earth of the curse of God, which he cursed the earth on the account of the sin which Adam sinned before the Lord. And it was when men continued to rebel and transgress against God and to corrupt their ways that the earth also became corrupt. And Enosh lived 90 years, and he begot Cainan, and Cainan grew up, and he was 40 years old. And he became wise and had knowledge and skill in all wisdom. And he reigned over all the sons of men. And he led the sons of men to wisdom and knowledge. For Cainan was very wise man and had understanding in all wisdom. And with his wisdom, he ruled over spirits and demons. And Cainan knew by his wisdom that God would destroy the sons of men for having sinned upon the earth, and that the Lord would in the latter days bring upon them the waters of the flood. And in those days, Cainan wrote upon tablets of stone what was to take place in the time to come, and he put them in his treasures. And Cainan reigned over the whole earth, and he turned some of the sons of men to the service of God. Okay, and now I'm going to fast forward to chapter 3. So I'm skipping some verses, and I'm going to chapter 3 where it mentions Enoch. And Enoch lived 65 years, and he begot Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after having begot Methuselah, and he served the Lord and despised the evil ways of men. And the soul of Enoch was wrapped up in the instruction of the Lord, in knowledge and in understanding. And he wisely retired from the sons of men and secreted himself from them for many days. And it was at the expiration of many years, whilst he was serving the Lord and praying before him in his house, that an angel of the Lord called to him from heaven. And he said, "Here am I." And he said, "Rise, go forth from thy house and from the place where thou dost hide thyself, and appear to the sons of men, in order that thou mayst teachest them the way in which they should go, and the work which they must accomplish to enter in the ways of God." And Enoch rose up according to the word of the Lord, and went forth from his house, from his place, and from the chamber in which he was concealed. And he went to the sons of men and taught them the ways of the Lord. And at that time assembled the sons of men and acquainted them with the instructions of the Lord. And he ordered it to be proclaimed in all places where the sons of men dwell, saying, "Where is the man who wishes to know the ways of the Lord and good works? Let him come to Enoch." And all the sons of men then assembled to him, for all who desired this thing went to Enoch. And Enoch reigned over the sons of men, according to the word of the Lord. And they came and bowed to him, and they heard his word. And the Spirit of God was upon Enoch, and he taught all his men the wisdom of God and his ways. And the sons of men served the Lord all the days of Enoch, and they came to hear his wisdom. And all the kings of the sons of men, both first and last, together with their princes and judges, came to Enoch when they heard of his wisdom. And they bowed down to him, and they also required of Enoch to reign over them, to which he consented. And they assembled in all 130 kings and princes, and they made Enoch king over them. And they were all under his power and command. And Enoch taught them wisdom, knowledge, and the ways of the Lord, and he made peace amongst them. And peace was throughout the earth during the life of Enoch. And Enoch reigned over the sons of men 243 years, and he did justice and righteousness with all his people, and he led them in the ways of the Lord. And these are the generations of Enoch, Methuselah, Elisha, and Elimelech, 3 sons, and their sisters were Milcah, Naamah, and Methuselah lived 87 years, and he begot Lamech. And it was in the 56th year of the life of Lamech when Adam died. 930 years old was he at his death. And now I'm fast forwarding to chapter 3. And now I'm fast forwarding to chapter 4. And all the days that Enoch lived upon earth were 365 years. And when Enoch had ascended into heaven, all the kings of the earth rose and took Methuselah, his son, and anointed him. And they caused him to reign over them in the place of his father. And Methuselah acted uprightly in the sight of God, as his father Enoch had taught him. And he likewise, during the whole of his life, taught the sons of men wisdom, knowledge, and the fear of God. And he did not turn from the good way, either to the right or to the left. But in the latter days of Methuselah, the sons of men turned from the Lord. They corrupted the earth. They robbed and plundered each other, and they rebelled against God, and they transgressed, and they corrupted their ways, and would not hearken to the voice of Methuselah, but rebelled against him. So the takeaway from this information is that a lot of the wisdom came from Enoch. And this is why the world religions all seem to have very similar storylines and similarities to one another, is because it all began with Adam. They rebelled against God. God continued to try to bring them back into the wisdom of God. And in the days of Enoch, all the kings of the earth came to learn the wisdom, the knowledge, and the prophecies of God through Enoch. And this is why there is so many similarities in what. So if you're someone who has maybe bought into this idea that the Bible is a knockoff of Egyptian religions and Sumerian texts and Hinduism, then I hope I gave you some information for you to ponder. And after having some understanding of what is actually written in the book of Jasher about what took place in the beginning and what took place just a few generations down from Adam, that it would make perfect sense that so many of the world's religions would have these similarities in their storylines. And it is because God, Yahweh, was in the beginning, and the knowledge of him was given to man in the beginning. But in the beginning, they also began to rebel against him. And so what happens when man rebels is they take a form of godliness and deny the power of it. And so they pick and they cherry pick pieces of truth and mix it in with false systems of idolatries and ideologies. And so then we have a new religion that is a form of wisdom, but has been perverted. And so, yeah, read the Book of Jasher if you've never read the Book of Jasher. As I said, it's one of my favorite extra biblical books. And just ponder on that. But I personally don't need logic to prove that Jesus is Lord, because I live by his Spirit. He dwells within me. I communicate with him. Honestly, I talk to God more than I talk to people. And I feel very misunderstood by most people. And so I prefer to be alone with God, because the conversations are way better, and the things he shares and teaches, it will blow your mind. And so honestly, I'd much rather spend time with him than with people. But yeah, and there's just way too many. I've been having a relationship with Jesus Christ and Yahweh since I was 4 years old and had no understanding of the scriptures at that time, but just childlike faith. I knew that he died for me and that he loved me and that I would talk to him every single night. And when I was in my darkest, lowest places, I could cry out to him and he would spiritually, supernaturally speak to me and tell me which way to go. And I would go that way, although it would be a long time before I actually fully surrendered my life to him and opened the Bible and read it. And that was when everything made sense. That was when I really started to see the power of God in my life instead of brokenness and suffering because of sin, because of trauma, because of a lack of knowledge. Because this world is designed to make you believe that God is not real or that his word is a lie. So I pray that if you're on the fence, that you would come just simply ask God, if you are real, the God of the Bible, if you are real, make yourself known to me in a way that I can understand. And if you are real, please show me and I will serve you. And it'll be the best thing that you will ever do. You will never regret it. And he will completely transform and blow your mind and transform your life. And he is the greatest love that you will ever know. So I pray that you open your heart to him today. Be blessed in Jesus' name.